Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Morning Live. Tell us why you decided to put together this book.
This book, I was challenged by a group of friends who were talking about what it will mean to celebrate 20 years of democracy. And people were saying, well, there are some who are going to be saying this is a very good moment, and some will be full of criticism. So I then took a position as I'm going to put together a book and invite people who will give different perspective of what it means to live in a free South Africa, as balanced as it can be, as also as critical as it can be. And that's how the idea started.
Speak to us about some of the writers you approached who contributed to what we have today.
We've got great writers in this book. It was very difficult because there had to be a balance. So I've got students who wrote here, I've got professors, I've got social activists, I've got people who are unemployed, I've got government employees, and a variety of others. And that was a very important point for me, to make sure that there is a balance, not just in the story, but also in some of the background of the people who were to write in this book.
Your position as having inside knowledge into the functionings of this democratic society that we live in, government in particular, how has that affected the book, if at all?
No, it didn't affect the book, and that's why I made a point earlier that I had to make sure that we get as a diverse group of writers as possible, that the book had to be critical, because I didn't want to write a book. The government was already doing a 20-year review project, so this is not a 20-year review project, or if you call it that, it's a 20-year review project from the point of view of ordinary South Africans who experience the change that has taken place, and some who believe that there hasn't been any changes. I've got an author, for example, here, Wayne Duvenage of Outer, who's opposed to Italy. He also wrote here, and he gives his own view of what it means to live in a free society. Obviously, he's very sharply critical. He talks about e-tolls, and for him, he believes that projects like the e-tolling are posing a threat, a danger to our democracy.
What are some of the surprising things that you discovered after having read some of the contribution of the writers?
There's a number of surprising things. For example, there's a very interesting chapter here that talks about the politics of the miniskirts. And this person writes that South Africa, we've got a constitutional democracy and a lot of other progressive laws. Yet a woman who walks down the street in the city of Johannesburg would be harassed for wearing a miniskirt. And so she writes about the political economy of miniskirts and uses the miniskirt as a metaphor of the contradictions that we have in society, that whilst we've got the constitution and all the laws that protects the rights of women, yet we've got social conservative people who believe that women shouldn't be wearing a miniskirt. And that was quite a revelation.
There's also the debate surrounding the so-called born frees. Talk to us a little bit about that.
That too is an interesting debate in the book, and I had to make sure that I get young people to write about the idea of the born frees. And the young people who wrote in this book are actually middle class youth. Interestingly, they are arguing that there is no such thing as called the born free, because we are born into a legacy. And to the extent that social and economic change take long to happen in society, therefore you can't say within 20 years that there are people who are born free. Yes, it is true that they are free of laws that will restrict them because of the color of their skin, because of gender or religion, but to the extent that social change takes long to happen, they are not immediately free.
20 years of democracy, do we have much to celebrate?
There's a lot to celebrate. I mean, look at the space we are in right now, having this kind of a conversation. 20 years ago, it would have been extremely difficult. Firstly, people in the 80s needed permission to come to areas like this one. Just behind where we are is a prison where women who were struggling for us to be free were kept. Today, those shackles are gone. There's a lot of stories to tell, in this democracy, in education, in the economy, in health. However, challenges do exist, and the book does say we've got challenges. In order for us to move beyond the political freedom that we have, there are concrete things that needs to happen in society to free people also economically. South Africans must embrace democracy, they must build democracy and create a society they want to live in.
Ayanda-Allie Paine.
All right, that was Ayanda-Allie Paine who's giving that review to us. And just remember that the book is available in stores countrywide.